Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys in the viewerverse, I've got a No Man's Sky speculation video, but I'm going to call this safe speculation, people. So these are the things that I fairly feel sure that something's going to happen inside of the 4.0 update around these things. Executamundo! So first thing that I think is probably on the cards to be coming into version 4.0 is inside of the freighter trails, inside of the engines area here, you can see there's one that's locked off. I think that's going to become unlocked, and it's Sentinel. So maybe it's going to be related to some sort of Sentinel activity that we've got to do, be that in maybe an expedition, or maybe there might be more Sentinel lore. Who knows? But I think that's going to be happening in 4.0. Now, we've been waiting eons for something to happen around this. This is the station override. What's the station override going to do? Well, I've put out speculation videos on what I think it might do. Look up the top corner. So yes, I think we may have overhyped this one, because at the moment there's a new line of text that's been added at the bottom there. Atlas Aeon Surveillance Uplink Functional. Well, we'll go over to a pirate system, we'll see what the difference is there. But I think in 4.0 we're going to get the station override, and I think that's going to become usable inside of the next update. Heck yes, I do. So here we are inside of a piratey system. Now let's head on over to the station core here and see what actually gets put up on screen, shall we? So yeah, in here you've got a different line at the bottom. Atlas Aeron Survey Uplink rejected. And you only get the one option to request the voice of freedom. So for whatever reason, you can't use a station override here. I mean, it looks freaking broken and janky. And it also comes up with glass, which is a little unusual, but at the same time not if you've been following the lore inside of No Man's Sky. So we'll get onto that in a bit. Now there is a third type of station, an abandoned station. So yeah, these stations are the stations of old. They haven't got a station core at the back end of the actual station, but what they have got is some very odd sort of messaging going on. So if I jump inside of my ship and we look at the actual cockpit view type screen, it says here, welcome home. Now I'm wondering whether if we are to get station ownership at some stage, whether it's these stations that we might get ownership of to call home. Not saying that we will get station ownership in 4.0, just pointing it out that they're a bit odd and maybe something might happen with those stations in 4.0, or maybe they might be given some more sense, like these Jetpack Trails, these glitch separating trails or whatever. It's got a similar sort of patternation in a roundabout way with the triangles to this sort of screen here. Could be something, might not be something, but it has got the same orangey sort of glow. Now these are boundary failures that I'm standing at right now, but we'll get back to that in a moment, because while we're talking about trails, there's this trail which is quite impressive, this temporal trail, yes, and when you're flying it sort of has echoes and mirrors, almost a glassy type effect going on, maybe, you know. But anyhow, also by these anomalies and on sorts of these weird planets, you also get anomaly strength readings whenever you're moving around on the planet, and I wonder whether they're going to come into play in version 4.0. So let's have a little bit of a better look at these ship trails, shall we, people? So there you go, look at that. It's all reflection-y, you know what I mean? It's very odd that they've added these in, and they're temporal disruption sort of trails. Well, what else causes a temporal disruption? Well, if you ever watched the films like Event Horizon, we're going to be getting a new drive in here. Engage the Singularity engine. All this weirdness going on. I'm wondering whether this weirdness is a clue to something that might be happening in 4.0. So hopefully we get the ability to build out the Singularity drive inside of our freighters, but I'm wondering whether these sort of things, maybe the black holes, maybe the Singularity drive, and maybe these failed boundaries might activate some ways or means into the realm of glass, or the void, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I've been banging this drum for frickin' eons, and it hasn't happened. Every year I say, oh, we might get to go into the void, or we might get to go into the realm of glass, because it's all over the lore. But yet, we haven't as yet. It's like this. The actual flamethrower as well, the incinerator, that's been in the game files for ages, and they've even programmed haptic feedback into the PlayStation joypad, and they've changed it fairly recently as well. You know, think about Frontiers, I think they tweaked it, but yeah, and also the visual effects they tweaked, but it's not into verse. I think that's going to be coming. Hopefully it's coming. Something else that's been data mined and inside of the files is a new UI. So, a user interface. So when you bring up all your menus, at the moment they're a little bit sort of all over the place, aren't they? But this looks like it's going to be a lot more compact and user-friendly, perhaps for those that are using touchscreen. So, like people on PlayStation VR 2, or those on an iPad or on the Switch all use touchscreen. So maybe there's a new touchscreen UI interface, maybe just for those versions, or it might be for all versions. Because let's face it could do with a bit of an overhaul anyway and a rework. Something that I don't think is going to be inside the Switch version is the Frontiers update, and maybe alongside that, or that's all the settlements. I don't think settlements are going to be there, but are the base parts going to be there, the new base parts? When you look at the No Man's Sky Switch page, they only show bases using the old prefab parts. So I'm wondering whether there might be base building limitations added into Switch in 4.0. So out of all of those things, which do I think is going to be the safest bets that might be coming into update 4.0? I think the UI overhaul is on the cards for sure. Now, also because it's coming out on the iPad and it's coming out on the Switch, they're going to be doing a heck of a lot of optimization for the game to come onto those platforms. So I think some of that optimization may come to the other platforms, and with it maybe some graphical enhancements to take up that graphical sort of flux or space, if you like. So I'm hoping to see some sort of overhaul to the graphics and pretty much the game in itself. Now also, Switch is going to be solo mode as soon as it launches, so I'm wondering whether we might get some more solo missions and lore and story inside of all the other iterations inside of 4.0. So yeah, I think that could be on the cards too. Well, there we go, people. There's all my speculation on everything that I think will make it into version 4.0. Now, I have gone to town, people. I've done wish lists and all the crazy stuff that I really hope makes it in, not the things that I think I've got a strong chance. I put a link to that playlist up there, and go hit it up, give that a watch, because that's all my wish listy type stuff and all the things that I really hope comes into verse. But yeah, that's everything for you guys in the viewerverse. Until next time, goodbye, and goodbye again. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe, and I'd like to say a massive great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers! And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.